First introduced in 1963 as the Chronograph reference 6239, the Rolex Daytona has evolved from a motorsport timing tool into arguably the most coveted watch on the planet. From the early manual wound references with pump pushers and acrylic crystals, to the Zenith Daytona era that finally brought automatic winding in 1988, to the fully in-house caliber 4130 that arrived in 2000, and now the current reference 126-500 LN with its updated 4131 movement and that iconic Serichrome bezel, the Daytona's 6-decade evolution is a masterclass in iterating without ever losing its identity. Add in the Paul Newman dial mystique, a personal Daytona that sold for $17.8 million at auction, and multi-year waitlist at every authorized dealer on Earth, and you start to understand why this watch occupies the space it does. Now, we'll start off by saying that we always encourage anyone with their heart set on the Daytona to stay the course and invest in the real thing, as we do believe it's definitely worth it, especially when you look at the historical data here. But let's be honest about the math. The steel Daytona retails for $16,900 as of 2026, and on the secondary market you're looking at north of $30,000. And that's before you even get into the gold and platinum variants, plus the issues of dealing with purchasing anything directly from Rolex. For most of us, that kind of money represents something far beyond a watch purchase, and there's zero shame in that reality. So today, we put together a guide of our favorite Daytona alternatives, all under $1,000 that capture different elements of what makes the Daytona special: the Panda dial, the tachometer bezel, the racing chronograph DNA, the tri-register layout, all without requiring you to take out a second mortgage. For reference, all watches are shown on our wearer's 6.75-inch wrist. So without further ado, let's get into our guide to some of the best affordable Rolex Daytona alternatives on the market. If there's a Duro equivalent in the Daytona alternative space, the Casio Edifice EFB 730D 7AV is it. At $165, this thing has absolutely no business looking as good as it does. And for anyone dipping a toe into the world of motorsports-inspired chronographs without wanting to commit four figures, this is where we tell you to start. The Edifice line has always been rooted in motorsports. Casio built this entire sub-brand around racing partnerships and the tagline, speed and intelligence. So the connection to the Daytona isn't a complete stretch here. And looking at this silver Panda dial in hand, the comparisons also practically write themselves. 3 contrasting black subdials and a classic 369 layout against a metallic silver sunburst, applied baton indices, and a case shape that honestly reminds us more of a Zenith Chronomaster Sport than it does any other Casio we've ever handled. Which is funny because the Chronomaster itself gets compared to the Daytona constantly. 40mm across the case, 47mm lug-to-lug, and just 11mm thick, which is actually slimmer than the Daytona's own 11.9mm profile. The short, slightly angular lugs tuck in nicely on the wrist, and the overall proportions are just really well considered for a chronograph at any price, let alone one south of $200. There is one small gripe worth mentioning. The central seconds hand on the EFB 730D ticks continuously as your regular running seconds. The actual chronograph seconds are relegated to the small subdial at 6. It's definitely an unconventional choice that's going to bug purists who expect that big center hand to spring to life when you hit the pusher. And we get it. That said, plenty of folks in the community have actually come to appreciate always having a sweeping seconds front and center rather than a parked hand at 12. But your mileage will vary. Sapphire crystal and 100 meters of water resistance, matching the Daytona's own water resistance rating, at this price is frankly pretty impressive. The bracelet is definitely the weak link here. Hollow end links and a stamped clasp that don't match the quality of the case and dial, but the 20mm lug width makes this a certified strap monster. And a quick swap to either racing leather or tropic rubber completely transforms the watch. For just $165, the EFB 730D is the entry point to this guide that proves you don't need to break the bank to get that motorsport chronograph DNA on your wrist. The Q Timex line has been one of the best things to happen to affordable watches in years. And with the chronograph, Timex finally took their beloved 70s-inspired platform and pointed it directly at the racing chronograph genre. The result is a watch that channels a vintage Daytona so confidently that this piece has become a staple in our own rotation since its initial release. Looking at this reverse Panda in hand, the DNA is unmistakable. Jet black dial, 3 warm off-white subdials in the classic tri-register layout, piston-style chronograph pushers, polished baton hands, and of course, a black tachometer bezel. Something the Casio Edifice before it lacked, and a feature that immediately connects any chronograph to motorsport territory. Timex even describes this watch as inspired by the original motoring watches that grace the tracks of Europe's most iconic races. There's Daytona here, there's Hoyer Carrera, there's even a touch of Speedmaster. All filtered through that distinctly angular Q Timex case shape that keeps it from feeling like a copy of anything. 40mm across the case, 46mm lug to lug, and 13.5mm thick. That thickness is worth addressing for a moment as it's noticeably chunkier than our Casio and even the Daytona itself, and a good portion of that height comes from the tall domed acrylic crystal sitting on top. Speaking of which, acrylic at $249 when the Edifice gives you sapphire at $165 is a legitimate gripe. On the flip side, that dome is a huge part of the vintage aesthetic and practically distortion-free through the center, so it feels more like a conscious design choice rather than pure cost-cutting. The Epson YM12A quartz movement inside handles chronograph duties with a central seconds hand that sweeps at 1/5 second intervals rather than the typical quartz tick, giving it a more mechanical feel when the chronograph is engaged. The 5-year battery life is also a nice bonus. The pushers themselves could be a bit snappier though. They're a touch mushy compared to what you'd get from a Mecha quartz, but functionally, everything works as it should. Water resistance is 50 meters, half of the Daytona's 100 meters, so that's something to keep in mind. But the stainless steel bracelet with quick-release spring bars and a deployant clasp are really impressive at this price point. It really feels like a step above what Timex has offered on previous Q models and makes the $249 ask feel entirely reasonable. If we had to pick one watch on this guide under the $500 price point that most directly channels the spirit of a vintage Daytona, the Dan Henry 1962 would be a strong contender. And that's not an accident by any means. Dan Henry himself is a collector with over 1,000 watches in his personal collection, and the 1962 was purpose-built as a love letter to the racing chronographs of that era. Even the name here is a nod. The Daytona's Cosmograph reference 6239 debuted in 1963, just 1 year after the 1962's namesake. The Panda dial here is textbook. Matte white base, 3 black subdials with concentric circle finishing in the classic 369 layout, applied baton indices, a red central chronograph seconds hand, and matte black Dauphine hands that give it a look pulled straight from a Le Mans pit lane circa 1965. And the black tachymeter bezel ties the whole motorsport package together nicely. Flip it over and you'll find a beautifully 3D embossed Maserati Tipo 60 birdcage race car in the screwback case, a small detail that genuinely made us smile. Now here's where the 1962 really starts to separate itself on this guide. Inside beats a Seiko VK63 Mecha Quartz movement, which is a significant upgrade over the standard quartz chronographs we've covered so far. Mecha Quartz combines the accuracy and grab-and-go convenience of quartz with actual mechanical chronograph components, meaning you get a sweeping center seconds hand and that crisp, snappy pusher reset that mechanical chronograph fans love. It feels substantially more satisfying to operate than a pure quartz chrono. 39mm across the case, 45.9mm lug to lug, and 13.5mm thick, period-correct proportions that wear beautifully on smaller to medium-sized wrists, and echo the sizing of actual 1960s racing chronos before everything ballooned in the modern era. The twisted lugs and overall case shape borrow from the Universal Genève compacts as much as they do the Daytona, giving the 1962 its own identity rather than feeling like a straight copy. The included French leather racing strap with perforations is excellent for the price, and quick-release spring bars make the 20mm lug width a strap monster playground. Our only real critique is the K1 mineral crystal. At $300, we'd love to see sapphire, but it is double-domed with AR coating, which helps clarity considerably. The Orient Stretto has been generating serious buzz since it dropped, and it's easy to see why. It's already been billed by many online as the Speedtimer killer, which is quite a bold claim considering Seiko's Speedtimer has essentially been crowned the go-to affordable Daytona alternative. And while our money is still on Seiko here, at nearly half the Speedtimer's price with a remarkably similar spec sheet, the Stretto definitely makes a compelling argument. Both watches use the same Epson VS752 solar quartz chronograph movement, both feature sapphire crystals, and both run the same tri-register subdial layout at 369. Where they do diverge is in personality. The Speedtimer leans hard into its Daytona impression with a tachymeter bezel and overt racing DNA. However, the Stretto takes a bit of a different path. The smooth, polished bezel and the layers of finishing across the dial give it a dressier, more versatile character. There's a hint of vintage Hoyer Carrera in those polished wedge-shaped markers and the two-tone dial treatment, and we think that actually works in favor for anyone who wants a chronograph they can wear to a track day and a dinner reservation without ever changing watches. 40mm across the case, 48.12mm lug to lug, and just 11.1mm thick, and the last number is worth emphasizing here. At barely over 11mm, this is one of the slimmest chronographs on our guide, and also thinner than the Daytona's own 11.9mm profile. The generous polished chamfers along the lug edges also help it tuck under a cuff effortlessly. Now that white dial does deserve a bit of an asterisk. In person, it does read a bit more silver than pure white, depending on lighting, which is actually a function of the solar technology underneath. Those dark gray subdials are sitting over the photovoltaic cells that charge the movement, and they give the watch a subtle technical depth that's really cool once you know what's happening beneath the surface. 6 months of power reserve from light alone also makes this one of the best grab-and-go chronographs. Some quick critiques here. 50-meter water resistance with a push-pull crown is on the weaker end of the guide. The pressed clasp with only 2 micro adjustment points doesn't match the quality of the case and dial, and those hollow end links are a familiar Orient compromise. The bracelet is this watch's Achilles heel, without a doubt, but the 20mm lug width means it's a quick swap to leather or rubber, and it solves that instantly. For $399, the Stretto delivers sapphire, solar, and a distinctive panda chronograph that isn't trying to be a Daytona clone, and that's exactly why it belongs here. Alright, there's a reason the watch community nicknamed this one the Daytona. The Seiko Prospex Speedtimer SSC 813 is arguably the most recognized affordable Daytona alternative on the planet, and as owners ourselves, we certainly understand why. This isn't just a watch that looks like it's a Daytona from across the room. It's a watch that really delivers on the promise of a motorsport chronograph with real heritage backing it up. Seiko's chronograph pedigree runs deep. The original 6139 Speedtimer, debuted in 1969, is one of the first automatic chronographs ever produced, and the 6139 even made it to space aboard Skylab 4 in 1973. So when Seiko revived the Speedtimer name, they weren't just borrowing someone else's legacy, they were reclaiming their own. The SSC 813 channels that history through a modern lens, and the result is probably the most complete package on this guide. 39mm across the case, 45.5mm lug-to-lug, and 13.3mm thick, proportions that were compact and true to size, smaller than the Omega Seamaster and right in line with the Daytona's own 40mm footprint. The Panda dial is beautifully executed with an almost milky white texture against matte black subdials, applied faceted indices, and a glossy black tachymeter bezel that honestly looks a bit like ceramic in person, but it's actually PVD-coated steel. Pump-style pushers, curved sapphire with AR coating, a screw-down caseback, and 100 meters of water resistance matching the Daytona itself round out the spec sheet here. The V192 solar movement inside shares the same Epson platform as the Orient Stretto we just covered, but the Speedtimer packages it with more sporting intent. And, as we previously mentioned, these tachymeter bezels just make a real difference in connecting the watches to the racing chronograph lineage. The chronograph seconds hand sweeps at 1/5 second intervals, mimicking an 18,000 VPH vintage mechanical, which is a really cool touch. 6 months of power reserve on a full charge also keeps it perpetually ready. A few honest critiques. The 24-hour subdial at 3 o'clock isn't very useful, the date window at 4:30 sits sunken deep enough to be difficult to read at an angle, and the handset could stand to be a touch bolder for legibility. But none of these are deal breakers by any means. The bracelet is solid with tight tolerances and all solid links, though micro adjustment is limited to just 2 positions in the clasp. At $725, the Daytona absolutely earns its reputation. It's truly the benchmark that every other watch in this guide is measured against. Okay, the Bulova Lunar Pilot might feel like a bit of a curveball on a Daytona alternatives guide, and we definitely want to be upfront about that. Its heritage is Lunar, not Le Mans. For those that aren't aware, on August 2nd, 1971, a Bulova chronograph was worn on the moon during Apollo 15's EVA-3 at Hadley Rill, making it one of only a handful of watches to ever leave Earth. And that's certainly Speedmaster territory, not Daytona territory. But this newer 43.5mm white and blue Panda variant, with its tachymeter bezel, tri-register layout, and sport-forward styling, visually speaks the same language as the Daytona in a way that the original black dial Lunar Pilot never quite did. And the real reason this watch earns its spot at the top of our price ladder is what's beating inside. Bulova's proprietary 262 kHz high-performance quartz movement resonates at 8 times the frequency of standard quartz, delivering accuracy to within seconds per year. That's a level of precision that nothing else in this guide even approaches. The running seconds and chronograph hand both sweep with a pseudo-mechanical guide rather than ticking, which is a direct result of that insane frequency, and it looks genuinely beautiful in motion. The chronograph itself measures to 1/20th of a second, with a 60-minute totalizer at 9 and a 1/20th second counter at 3. Flat sapphire crystal with AR coating sits on top, superluminova on the hands and applied markers handles legibility in low light, and the blue tachymeter ring paired with those slim blue chronograph pushers give the whole package a cohesive colorway that feels intentional and premium. 43.5mm is admittedly larger than everything else in the guide, and that's definitely worth acknowledging. Previous Lunar Pilots ran 45mm with a 52mm lug-to-lug, so Bulova has trimmed things down here. But this still wears bigger than the Daytona's 40mm case. If you're rocking a sub 7-inch wrist, it is worth trying on first. That said, Bulova ships this reference with both a 3-link stainless steel bracelet seen here and a fitted blue leather strap with quick release bars, which is a thoughtful inclusion at this price. At $895, you're paying for that 262 kHz movement, the Apollo pedigree engraved right on the caseback, and a genuinely unique chronograph experience that nobody else in this guide can replicate. We saved the Laurier Olympia for the end of this guide because, frankly, it's probably the closest thing to the Daytona experience you can get for under $1,000, and we don't say that lightly. While every other watch we've covered today uses a quartz, solar, or mecha quartz movement, the Olympia is the only fully mechanical automatic chronograph on this guide. Inside beats the TMI Seiko NE88, a column wheel and vertical clutch chronograph movement beating at 28,800 VPH with a 45-hour power reserve. Those are specs you typically don't see at this price point. Seiko's own watches using this caliber start north of $2,000, and Sellita-equipped alternatives would push the Olympia well past the $1,000 mark. And the pusher feel reflects that mechanical pedigree too. Crisp, precise actuation with distinct clicks that make engaging the chronograph satisfying in a way no quartz can replicate. Laurier is transparent about their inspiration here, citing the Universal Genève Compacts, the Rolex Daytona reference 6241, and the Heuer Carrera reference 2447 as direct references. And that's exactly how the Olympia reads in hand. It really looks like it could have existed alongside those icons in the 1960s without anyone questioning its authenticity. The white dial carries a subtle silvery sheen, the black dials feature concentric, circular texturing, polished applied indices catch light beautifully, and the red and blue accents on the 9 o'clock register add just the right amount of racing flair without overdoing it. 39mm across, 46mm lug-to-lug, and 13.85mm thick, nearly identical to the original reference 6239 Daytona's 13.5mm profile, which Laurier proudly acknowledges on their product page. The domed Tesla-like crystal accounts for over 2mm of that height, and while we know that the sapphire crowd will have opinions, the warmth and clarity of the dome is genuinely gorgeous in person on this watch, and it feels period correct here. Laurier also ships a tube of polywatch in the box for scratch maintenance. The 3-link bracelet with solid end links, screw pins, and a toolless micro-adjustment clasp with 5 positions rounds out a package that is in our view pound for pound one of the best value mechanical chronographs available today. If the Daytona is the dream, the Olympia is the closest you'll get at this price, and it earns that comparison honestly. And there you have it, 7 affordable watches that each bring something from the Daytona playbook to the table without anywhere near the Daytona price tag. Whether you're starting at $165 with the Edifice, or going all in on a fully mechanical chronograph with the Laurier at just under $1,000, there's a legitimate option here for every budget and every wrist. As always, this is just a cross-section of our favorites. The chronograph space is loaded with great options we simply don't have time to cover. So drop us a line in the comments with your favorite Rolex Daytona alternative, especially if we missed one you think deserves a spot. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed the guide, please make sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.